So how are you guys doing? Well, it's that time of the year when we're all gearing up to end the year. End of the day, 2020 has been crazy. We all have our own versions of how the year turned out and what it was like. And some people even go to the extent to say that this is one of the worst years. But was it really one of the worst years? Now, look, every single year turns out to be different in its own way. Sure, there was the pandemic. Sure, people were put in a corner, locked up in their rooms, locked up in their houses. But I've always believed that everything is a mindset. If you come back to looking at the year, we ultimately come back to trying and figuring out if this year did any good to us or no. If this year really made a difference to us, our family, our work, our life or no. Because at the end of the day, life is all about evolving. I remember having this conversation with one of my clients where I was talking to her about how the next year might be no different at all unless she makes a massive change. And while we were having this conversation, it all boiled down to, Rohini, the last year was terrible and this year seemed to have aced it, where I couldn't make any sense of my finances and my personal life. And she kept harping around the same thing, and I realized that it really has nothing to do with the pandemic. It really has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it was not the COVID that made her financial situation turn around or her relationships turn around. So while a lot of us are constantly spending our energy trying to figure out if this year really made sense or didn't make sense, and we are really excited about the holidays and about packing our bags and packing the entire year, so much so that I actually today was flooded by so many messages and jokes on the year coming to an end and how you're supposed to welcome 2021 with open arms. What I want to talk to you about is I want you to open up your mind to the fact that could 2020 actually be one of the best things that ever happened to you? Could it have actually been a blessing in disguise? So you don't have to worry about was it not in another realm of what makes you think it was a good year only. But let's talk about it from a slightly different angle. If we are to pack up 2020, I'm going to tell you 5 signs that 2020 was one of the best things that could have happened to you. I know it's one of the best years that happened to me. There was so much change, and it kind of made me realize what my true potential was. While I'm working with my clients, it made them realize what their potential was. And I realized that people across the globe, everybody I crossed paths with, it made them realize what their potential was. So let's talk about the 5 primary signs of how 2020 was one of the best things that could have happened to you. Number 1, if 2020 pushed you to be more adaptive, then that is one of the best things that could have happened. Now, we always are so resistant to change, aren't we? We want to stay in our comfort zone, we want to be where we are, and every time there is some change that comes in, we tend to go back into our cocoon, go back into our shell. But here's 2020 that pushed us to really live the kind of life we never imagined possible. We never thought we would survive in those homes and locked in our rooms and asked to stay away from our most favorite people in the world. And yet here we are, we survived. We not just survived, we thrived in the whole work from home, we thrived in the whole element where we were asked to do things that we never thought possible. So it really taught us, and I'm sure taught you, that you are extremely adaptive. You are way more flexible than you ever gave yourself credit for. So every time you've been scared, every time you've wondered that, can I actually be someone apart from this one version that I've lived with? Well, the truth is here, that you actually were extremely adaptive. So that's the number 1 sign, the first sign that 2020 has gotten you to evolve and gotten you to be a much better version of yourself. Right? The second sign that 2020 was awesome is that we got so much family time. Well, if you are one amongst those people who got to spend more family time, who got to spend more time with your family than you have in the last 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, then count your blessings. Because at the end of the day, we've all asked that I wish I could spend more time with my family, with my kid, with my mom, with my dad, with my sibling. Here you are. You actually got to spend more time with your family than you have in a very, very long time. Whatever the reasons were, whether you had a lot of work, whether you had a lot of travel, whether you just had a lot more responsibilities, here was a year that gave you the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with your family. Now, for some people it wasn't face-to-face, it was maybe more virtual, but that's okay. It is still better that we managed to spend more time with our family. For some of us, family dinners became a regular affair. For some of us, playing games became a regular affair in the afternoons, whatever it is. We got to know the people who mean the most in our life much more closely. So the second sign that 2020 was one of the best years was that we actually got to spend a lot more family time. The third sign that 2020 was awesome is it pushed us to be more creative. Think about it. The reason why most people think that they're not creative is because they don't get time to push their creativity. They don't get time to explore their creativity. They don't get time to actually deep dive into what are the things they want, which is in their mind, what are the things that they want to see in the real life. And one of the biggest reasons is because we have been so packed, we have been so caught up that we never get the time to really give those finishing touches to our creativity. What is it that you managed to create in this year? Was it you turned a business idea into reality? You started a new venture? You wrapped up a venture that you thought was your lifeline and you managed to create another version of it. You took a job, or you pushed yourself to write that article that you've been meaning to write, or you opened a social media page, or you just started interacting with people a lot more, or maybe you even explored your culinary skills. Whatever it is, you got more creative. This is something you cannot overlook. Every time you have spent your time saying, I don't have the time, I don't have the time, I don't have the time, well, here you are. 2020 gave you the time to be more creative, and that is such an awesome thing. So that is the third sign that 2020 has been amazing. Now the fourth sign why 2020 has really been a blessing in disguise. It gave you time to go ahead and focus on one of the most important things, which is health. I met so many people who have really actively been focusing on their health. They have been eating better, they have been sleeping better, they have been exercising more. What is it that changed this year? Well, what changed was our routine, and because of that routine you were able to actually explore that part of you which really is extremely important, which is health. So many people have gotten way more healthier this year. Their stress levels are lower, their sleep patterns have improved, their food habits have improved. Well, that's another argument that we've had no choice but to eat at home because we couldn't really get a lot of food outside or go to a lot of restaurants. But that is still awesome, isn't it? Because we actually got to spend time on our health and we've understood the importance of it. Somehow we seem to be functioning a lot better, and that is because of 2020. And the fifth sign that this has been one of the best years and it has been a blessing in disguise is this. This year, a lot of you have gotten to know that one person much better, which is you yourself. You have removed the time to understand what is your relationship with yourself. You've removed time to understand who are you. You've removed time for yourself. I know people who've been scared of spending time by themselves have managed to do that this year. People have gotten to know themselves so much better. Solo time became a common thing. Reading became a common thing. Writing became a common thing. What was the most common was spending time by yourself. And that, I think, is one of the best things. Well, if you are to conquer the world, then you better know who you are so you can conquer the world in the best possible manner. And that is what 2020 has done. It's given you time to spend time with yourself. A lot of you have become so much more comfortable in your own skin, so much more comfortable in your own company, and so much more comfortable with who you are. And that is something most of the years in the past have not managed to do. So these are the 5 precious reasons why 2020 has truly been one of the most amazing years. Has really pushed us and given us the opportunity to do so much more. So if you're sitting and wondering and saying, Rohini, I'm waiting for 2021, then I'm going to say stop. Let's look at this year. It really has been amazing. And let's pick that forward. Let's take that into 2021. So while the holidays are coming, let's enjoy the holidays. Let's pray for each other. Let's celebrate, because we always have a reason to celebrate. If you are serious about making your life count, then you need to remove time and understand that every single moment of your life is teaching you something. And in my opinion, 2020 has taught you a lot. So look at these 5 signs, evaluate them, and tell me, how was your 2020? Do you agree? Do you have anything more to add? And are you willing to take this into 2021 and live an absolutely extraordinary year? So it was amazing talking to you, and while I'm going to let go of 2020 with a heavy heart, I am going to welcome 2021 with equally open arms, and let's see how that year turns out. It's amazing talking to you guys. I'm going to wait to hear a little more about you. So let's celebrate the last few days of this year in the glory and in the real spirit of how amazing the year has been. I'm going to catch up with you guys soon. It was nice talking to you all. See you.